Luke. He, him is a theist out in Arizona, wants to talk to us about, sounds like rationality, necessity, existence. You tell us where you want to go, Luke. You're chatting with Jim Barrows and Secular Rarity. What's up?
Hey, guys, I'm just going to state my propositions and see if they work.
Yeah, okay. Sounds great.
All right, here it goes. The existence of God is a rational necessity. If God doesn't exist, then everything is meaningless, including the things I personally find meaningful. But if God does exist, then everything is meaningful, including the things that I find meaningless, like the definition of atheism being a lack of belief. Therefore, God must exist.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I appreciate you laying that out. I think that was really well, pretty succinct. I definitely have a problem with the thing about the, like, if God doesn't exist, then like the meaning stuff, right?
Well, I'm kind of curious as to what God's opinion of what is meaningful would have anything, regardless, any impact on why what you find meaningful wouldn't be meaningful just because God doesn't find it that way, right? That's no different than me going, there's a whole bunch of people who are about to, who find a sporting event that's coming up meaningful and I don't. What does my opinion have to do with their finding that sporting event meaningful? It doesn't, right? It shouldn't, because we're all different. So why does some God's opinion of what's meaningful or meaningless have anything to do with my opinion, your opinion, or Secular Rarity's opinion?
Because God is the ontopreferent. He's the thing by which everything else has meaning.
Right. So
well, that's a nice claim.
Yeah, I mean, that goes to my problem. Like, what's the demonstration for that? Like, why are you coming to that conclusion? What's your reasoning to get you to there?
What else would it be? It's not going
to okay. So hang on, Luke, hang on. Let's swap some things out now, okay? I agree. What else could there be, man? Okay. So my response to you now is actually that Flabbity over here is actually the thing that you're saying. And you go, well, gosh, SR, how did you get to that conclusion? And my response is, what else could it be? Where do we go from here, man? What's the next step in this conversation? You've said this entity has to be the thing that starts it all. And I go, why? And you said, why not? And so I just go, okay, well, this thing has to be the thing that starts it all. And you go, why? And I go, why not? Aren't we in the same position?
I didn't say why. I asked, what is it?
No. The thing that brought us here was you made a claim and said all of this meaning, all of this value, all of this cool whatever stuff around us comes from this source, God. And I said, oh, that's interesting. How'd you get to that conclusion? And the response you gave, and you can, take this back. You can say, oh, hey, my bad. That wasn't what I meant, whatever. But what you said was, what else could it be? And so my response to that is, what's the next step in this conversation? Because it sounds like you and I are essentially on equal footing. I have a better answer than what I'm giving right now, but I'm using this as an example to try to say, do you see how we don't make any progress in this? You're saying it's God. I'm assuming because you're based in Arizona, I'm assuming it's probably a biblical God. Doesn't matter either way, because what if this other person comes along and has their God and they say, nope, it's mine. And you go, well, how'd you get there? And they go, what else could it be? What would your response be to that, man?
What is your God? What is this levity you're talking about?
Whatever. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the criteria is yet, because we're currently in the boat. We're currently in the boat of saying we both have made a claim. And when somebody says, okay, back that up, our response is, it couldn't be anything else. This is literally incredulity. This is the fallacy of incredulity. It's just us saying we don't know, and so therefore we're sticking with this until you provide a defeater.
But I didn't say that.
No, but you did by saying what else could it be? That is so let's just try it again. We can just start all over, Luke. We just start all over again. You make a claim. Tell me if I got this claim right. You said all meaning has to come from God, right? Yes or no?
Right.
Okay, cool. How did you get to that conclusion? What's your response to that?
because it wouldn't be anything else.
Okay, see, there you go. That's literally you doing the fallacy of incredulity, which is saying simply because I currently cannot provide any other answer, my answer must be right to this claim. But you've done nothing to back up your claim, right? Does that make sense?
Different answer? Do you have a different?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter currently, okay? Not until you start to provide something that demonstrates this claim from the beginning. Because all we're at right now is just both of us just saying, well, I've got my thing. And then the other person says, well, how'd you get to it? And then our response is the same, which is, you don't have anything else, bro. So
Right.
You don't have anything else. I'm saying it's Flabbity over here. You're saying it's God. You ask me to back my claim up, and my response is it can't be anything else. And so then I ask you, and you say, well, it can't be anything else. So where do we go? What's the next step here?
But I didn't ask you to back up your claim. I asked, what is Flabbity?
And that's fine. And that's fine. But again, do you see the parody is what I'm trying to get here. And I mean parody as in ITY, not like ODY. I'm not making fun of. I'm saying these are equal. These claims are equal, and we have to appeal to something else to get more information here. And I'm asking, what is that for you? And if ultimately what you're saying is, I just kind of stuck on this position by default because nobody's ever come up and said nuh-uh to me, like, that's just not a good way to come to conclusions, man. But hang on a sec. Let me shut up so that Jim can jump in again.
Well, let me try it this way. I make the claim, I have a white pencil in my hand. And you say, prove it. And I say, well, what else could it be? That's what you said. But if I'm going to prove it, I would simply go, see, here's my hand. Here's a pencil. It's in my hand and it's white. Now I've offered you evidence. I haven't said what else could it be, because this pencil could be yellow. And in fact, most people's experience with pencils is that they are yellow, right? Not white until Apple came out with their Apple Pencil, and now maybe it is white. But that's all you said, is what else could it be? And we're like, well, we don't know either, but that's not a good enough answer, right? Just the way what else could it be is not a good answer to well, how do you know it's a white pencil? How do I know that you have a white pencil in your hand? Well, what else could it be? Well, it could be my mouse pad, right? There's a lot of things that could be in my hand. There's a lot of colors pencils can be. That's not a good enough answer.
But
does that make sense?
In your hand is not ontic. But yeah, but a white pencil in your hand is not an ontic reference.
Right, but are you understanding what the problem is? Because it sounds like the difficulty we're having here is recognizing the equal footing that these claims are on. And that's the issue that we're having, is because basically what you've just said is, I just accept this thing without justification. And then somebody goes, well, that's weird, man. You probably got to have something to justify it. And supposedly, based on the information you've given us, your justification is simply nobody has disproven it. But that is a known construction in logic that does not lead to reliable outcomes. We've actually gone so far as to give it a name. It's not just a fallacy. It's a special kind called the fallacy of incredulity. We know that this argument anywhere in the paragraph does not reliably get us to the conclusion at the end. So if you know that that's the case, what do you do? How do you combat that on your own? Like, do you accept this reasoning for anything else in the world? Because if your answer is yes, I'd love some demonstration of that. If your answer is no, then you're committing another fallacy, which is special pleading, which is saying everything else in the world follows this rule except for my thing, and that's why it's right. So do you accept this reasoning as an answer for anything else? Just like I thought the example Jim gave was great. I understand that what you're saying is ultimately, yeah, but the thing that I'm talking about isn't like contingent and doesn't have all of these, like, it's a necessary, it has to be. And I'm just agreeing with you on those characteristics. I'm giving you those toys, as J. Mike likes to say. You have all of that. You have the fact that this thing is, in your definition, your understanding, a necessity. It absolutely has to be. And all I'm saying is, you actually aren't justified in doing that, because I can say, nope, it's a necessary entity, just like Graham Oppie proposes, and it is naturalistic entirely. There is nothing connected to a god. And your response is, well, how do you know that? And my response is, what else could it be? And you see how we're back into the same rut we've essentially been in this whole time.
But I didn't say that. You did.
No, again, look,
You literally said, what else could it be? That was your answer to our question of how did you come to that conclusion? You said, word for word, what else could it be?
Yeah. And the reason I got you muted, Luke, is because I'm going to let the call go, because I don't know that Jim and I can do more at this point other than just asking you to watch this back and watch what you said the very first time. Okay. I think this has been, I think this has been a good call in the sense, none of us have been yelling or name calling or anything, we're butting heads, but that's what we want,
Right.
But what I really want is for you to go back and watch what your response was the very first time we pushed back. Because from here on, you've continued to say, no, I didn't say that. No, I didn't make the claim like that. Nah, man, that wasn't what I was getting at. But it definitely was. It definitely was what you were getting at. And I think the reason you're trying to walk some of that back is because you recognize it's actually not a good answer. So yeah, what else could it be is essentially just you saying nobody's come along to prove otherwise, but that doesn't show that your thing is right. All it shows is, hey, maybe there isn't something currently that's a defeater. But yeah, man, like I said, got you on mute and I'm going to let you go right now. Watch this back, because I think you will be surprised how quickly you do make the claim. What else could it be? And that's problematic. I mean, we didn't go very far in that conversation for the exact reason that I was trying to lay out from the beginning, right, Jim? Like, if that's your response when somebody says, hey, back up that claim, and your response just is, well, do you have anything that disproves it? How does that lead us to any conclusion? How do we get out of the bed in the morning? Like, it could be lava on my floor when I step on the ground. Like, do you have a defeater against that? What else could it be?
And that answer, I mean, in very limited conditions, that answer can be true. I mean, the classic example is Sherlock Holmes' Sign of the Four. It's a locked room murder mystery. Sure. Murder victim is in a locked room that can only be locked from the inside. And the first thing Holmes does is prove that nobody could have been inside and it could not have been locked from inside. In which case he says, what else could it be but somebody locking it externally?
Right. Because we have all these external parameters that are setting up something very, very, a scenario that is very, very specific. And then we're using our logic and our understanding of how the world has worked around us repeatedly to say, most likely, people aren't just going to suddenly materialize out of nothingness, right, in the middle of this room to kill somebody. The door's
and
locked.
we know what the physics are. We can know everything about the room. And then we do that. And that's exactly what Holmes does in his investigation. It's one of the few times I can remember where he actually does everything the cops did. He normally doesn't work that way. Right? He sees things they don't. He notices things. He comes to conclusions they don't, but very rarely does he do exactly everything the cops did. Because Lestrade is only an idiot compared to Sherlock Holmes. Dr. Watson is also only an idiot compared to Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
And so they did all these things. He redoes them because he can't believe it either. And then he goes, oh, you have to, because he knows how locks work. Right. So he knows all these things and he can eliminate all the possibilities. This is not something we can do with natural science and the natural world.
Yeah.
We don't know enough to eliminate
Yep.
all of the possibilities.
Yep.
There are things we still don't know. We still don't know how quantum gravity works. We still don't know all this stuff. And so we can't make that same conclusion because the world is bigger than a room.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, that was a point I wanted to touch on before we moved. Yeah, there are just so many potential answers, and you don't get to a conclusion because your response is, well, we just haven't found a better conclusion. You get to a conclusion because the information points exclusively towards that conclusion and discounts the others. Again, that's why science doesn't prove anything, right? Because we can never completely get rid of all those variables. But either way, I thought a good call. And Luke, seriously, I hope you watch that back. I hope you call back in, whether it's Jim and myself or not. I think you'll have a good conversation if you can. Again, not saying that your conclusion is even necessarily wrong yet. Just simply saying that response, that construction is known to be problematic and not give us good conclusions.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're definitely not saying you're wrong. We're saying
right.
prove
We hadn't
you're
even
right.
gotten to that yet. Luke, call us back. We'll tell you how you're wrong next time. I'm teasing.